WCJ in the chat.
Hello and welcome to the Wrestle Talk News. I am Luke Owen. Today's episode is going to be a pretty serious one. In fact, it's a very serious one. You know what? In further fact, I'm not going to do it in costume. I'm afraid that I'll be covering some very serious allegations which are both vulgar and distressing. Please be sensible in the comments. In June 2022, the Wall Street Journal released a report that WWE were investigating its then CEO Vince McMahon over the use of company funds to pay hush money to the tune of $3 million.
Whoa!
John Laurinaitis,
Oh,
who
fair?
was head of
Okay,
talent
never
relations
mind.
at the
That's
time,
nothing, bro.
was also
Bro, paying $300 just for an affair, bro. Come on now, bro. Just make her pinky promise and you be good, bro. You're worth millions of money. It's an affair. You're not gonna lose the WWE over it.
part of this investigation. That figure then rose to $12 million as it was revealed in another Wall Street Journal report that there were multiple instances of non-disclosure agreements, an NDA, to cover up allegations of
sexual misconduct. Oh, that's
sexual
completely
misconduct
different.
and infidelity. Following the first Wall Street Journal report, Vince McMahon returned to TV screens on both Raw and SmackDown to show how these allegations were not affecting him.
Okay.
However, after the second report, Vince stepped down as CEO of WWE and announced
Vince McMahon pulled a President Nixon. That's wild. Never thought I'd see the day.
his retirement in July of 2022. He was replaced as CEO by his daughter, Stephanie McMahon, and Nick Khan, while his son-in-law, Triple H, took over as head of creative. WWE formed a special committee of independent board members to investigate the matter, which disbanded in November of 2022 when their investigation was complete. They discovered that McMahon had paid $19.6 million in hush money payments to former female employees.
Bro was breaking the bank for this hush money.
He was still on the board of directors though, and in December of 2022, it was reported that Vince McMahon was looking to get back into the company in an unretired role, which he managed despite originally being told by the board that he couldn't. Vince got his way back into the company to facilitate a sale of WWE, saying that he would not approve of any sale unless he was involved. How did Vince manage this? Well, he replaced the board of people who said no with people who said yes. Stephanie McMahon, man who just prior to the original Wall Street Journal article stepped down from WWE, then stepped back up to be co-CEO, stepped down again after Vince McMahon stepped back up. Vince began getting involved with WWE's creative following WrestleMania 39, including a heavily criticized Raw After Mania. He then worked behind the scenes to sell WWE, striking a deal with Endeavor, which was announced in April 2023.
The UFC, right? I know about this one.
This new group was called TKO, and Vince McMahon was a high-level board member of it. In a move that he probably didn't see coming though, his new boss, Ari Emanuel, made the call to remove Vince from the creative side of WWE so he could just focus on selling TV rights for Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, which was already sort of a Nick Khan role. TKO themselves noted in their first SEC filings that Vince McMahon was a liability based on the allegations, which is why his presence has been kept to a minimum. This past week, TKO announced that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson had joined the board of directors and they'd signed a huge money deal to move Raw to Netflix in January of 2025.
Oh, that's fire. W.
Dwayne. Rock would become the face of WWE to further minimize Vince McMahon's role in the company, which brings us up to date. And
I'm fine with The Rock being the face of WWE.
Wall Street Journal article and the latest lawsuit against Vince McMahon that alleges him of sexual misconduct, coercion, and sex trafficking. The new report details a lawsuit filed against WWE, Vince McMahon, and John Laurinaitis from a former employee named Janelle Grant. The suit alleges that Grant met McMahon. Hello and welcome to the Wrestle Talk News. I am Luke Owen.
that her? That her right here? Vince a pimp for real? Yeah, I think that's her.
And when they lived in the same apartment building in 2019, and Vince brought her into WWE to work in the legal department in a new role that he created specifically for her, and that McMahon showered her with gifts. The Wall Street Journal writes, during meetings that were supposed to be about the job, he greeted her in his underwear and repeatedly asked for hugs. Then, the suit says,
Vince McMahon was a horny ass nigga. This nigga was wild. During meetings that they were supposed to be about the job, he greeted her in his underwear and repeatedly asked for hugs. This is a horny nigga activity. That is a horny nigga activity.
He pressured her into sexual activities in return for employment and warned her to stay quiet about their interactions. Allegedly, although Grant expressed concerns about a job she felt was unearned, McMahon told her that it just has to look legit. Grant alleges that her colleagues complained about having too much work while she had little to do. It was during this time, the suit alleges, that McMahon would send...
I'm just saying. Don't quote me on this. Don't clip me on this. She had bigger things to complain about than just a little work. You know what I'm saying? She had bigger things she needed. She should have been complained about. That just I don't do a lot. If I didn't do a lot at work, I'd be fine with that and still got paid millions of dollars. I'd be fine with it. Now I'm not getting touched. No. She signed a contract to get piped. Oh, I gotta listen to this.
And her sexually explicit messages and increased sexual demands, including, but not limited to, using sex toys on her named after WWE wrestlers. The Wall Street
Vince McMahon's been the P. Diddy this entire time.
Journal writes, Grant alleged that she complained to McMahon and made attempts to end the relationship. The suit says Grant came to understand that McMahon expected the physical relationship to continue as part of her employment. It also adds McMahon refused to end the relationship, saying that it was not ending, it did not need to, and that he did not ever envision it ending. Grant alleges that McMahon and an executive locked her in an office at WWE's headquarters and took turns sexually assaulting her. She claims other instances of rape in June of 2021, and later that day received $15,000 in Bloomingdale's gift cards. The suit has a text message that says, Vince said, "I'm the only one who owns you and controls you." Grant
Wild. I am astonished.
also alleges that McMahon would share these sexually explicit pictures of her with other WWE employees, unnamed executives, and stars, as well as people outside the company. And the suit provides a series of text messages where Vince McMahon bragged about showing these to employees in WWE's technical department in July of 2020, while also offering her up to them for sexual favors. The suit claims that in November of 2019, Grant showed signs of sleep disruption, dizziness, exhaustion, rashes, weight loss, hair loss, and migraines. She saw her doctor, who told her these were symptoms of trauma, to which McMahon allegedly responded, "Emotional trauma, my ass."
That's wild!
Sent her instead to his own celebrity doctor, where she received attention, treatments, and products, all of which paid for by Vince McMahon. The suit alleges that McMahon encouraged those he sent her sexually explicit photos to share them with their friends. This includes a former WWE referee who McMahon assured Grant had loyalty to him. The suit alleges that in June 2021, Grant was moved to work under John Laurinaitis in the talent relations department, where she was instructed by McMahon to meet Laurinaitis at his hotel room prior to the start of workdays for sex. The suit claims that McMahon described her as breakfast for Laurinaitis. The suit
Breakfast is insanity. It just gets worse. How did Vince McMahon possibly? I didn't think it could get any worse. After the WWE sex toys things, I didn't think it could get worse. It did.
Alleges in the same month, McMahon and Laurinaitis sexually assaulted Grant.
Aww.
The Wall Street Journal writes McMahon controlled her professional and personal lives and subjected her to degradation, according to the suit. A huge part of this suit claims that Grant was used as a bargaining chip to sign someone to WWE. The suit alleges that Grant was instructed by McMahon to create personalized sexual content for this wrestler, and when they agreed to a new WWE contract, McMahon texted Grant in August of 2021 that part of the deal was you. The suit does not name this individual, but notes they are both a WWE star and former UFC heavyweight champion. The Wall Street Journal writes, people familiar with the matter identify the wrestler as Brock Lesnar, who then returned to WWE at SummerSlam 2021. The suit alleges that McMahon gave Grant a new cell phone just for her to send sexual content to this WWE star, who degraded her, but wanted to set a play date in December 2021, which did not happen due to a snowstorm disrupting travel plans. The suit claims Mr. McMahon also subjected Miss Grant to acts of extreme cruelty and degradation that caused Miss Grant to disassociate and or become numb to reality in order to survive the horrific encounters. It's alleged that in January 2022, Linda McMahon, Vince McMahon's wife, discovered the relationship and that Grant was let go by WWE. Vince then allegedly pressured Grant into signing an NDA and warned Grant of reputational ruin that included pornographic content he had of her. Allegedly, McMahon paid Grant $1 million in February as part of this NDA, but stopped making payments. These lack of payments is what broke the NDA, which is how Grant was able to file this suit. Finally, the suit alleges that even after the NDA was signed in February, the abuse continued, as McMahon attempted to traffic her to an unnamed WWE star in March 2022 at an event in New York City. The Wall Street Journal writes she texted the star explicit photos as directed by McMahon, but they didn't meet. Grant had previously gone unnamed in other Wall Street Journal articles, though her name was posted by Brad Shepard on Twitter, which he got via a WWE source. It is alleged in the lawsuit that WWE leaked this name to Shepard as an overt intimidation tactic.
Here's one thing you need to do before you buy anything online. Don't spend another dime on Amazon until you watch this first.
Watch this.
Ann Callis, the lawyer representing Janelle Grant, said, today's complaint seeks to hold accountable two WWE executives who sexually assaulted and trafficked plaintiff Janelle Grant, as well as the organization that facilitated or turned a blind eye to the abuse and then swept it under the rug. She is an incredibly private and courageous person who has suffered deeply at the hands of Mr. McMahon and Mr. Laurinaitis. Ms. Grant hopes that her lawsuit will prevent other women from being victimized. The organization is well aware of Mr. McMahon's...
Do you think if Brock Lesnar comes out clean, like there's proof that he wasn't a part of it, do you think that they'll put him back in the WWE just Hall of Fame?
History of depraved behavior, and it's time they took responsibility for the misconduct of its leadership. In a statement to Variety, TKO said, Mr. McMahon does not control TKO, nor does he oversee the day-to-day operations of WWE. While this matter predates our TKO executive team's tenure at the company, we take Ms. Grant's horrific allegations very seriously and are addressing this matter internally. A representative for Vince McMahon denied the allegations to Deadline, saying this lawsuit is replete with lies, obscene made-up instances that never occurred, and a vindictive distortion of the truth. He will vigorously defend himself. As for Brock Lesnar, Fightful Select report that he was planned for an appearance at this weekend's Royal Rumble. However, in light of Lesnar's implied inclusion in the Vince McMahon lawsuit, that may change. As for the investigation by WWE by that special committee, the suit claims that Janelle Grant was never even contacted for an interview, despite stating that she would cooperate and share any documents and evidence, and alleges that all it did was try and shift the focus. The suit claims that the company diverted attention away from McMahon's abuse by focusing on the accounting for the payouts. Others at WWE knew about McMahon's misconduct, but worked to conceal the wrongdoing. The suit calls the internal investigation a sham. So, what happens next? Really, not a lot. These are matters that, according to TKO, will be looked into, and McMahon will fight this in court. As for McMahon's role within TKO and its board of directors, Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics notes via Twitter that TKO cannot force Vince McMahon out. They cannot fire him. Or, at the very least, it's unclear whether they can fire him. Their own filings note that Vincent K. McMahon shall serve as the executive chair of the board until the earliest of his death, resignation, or incapacitation. Basically, as Thurston puts it,
hey, that's a solid contract. Let's talk about it.
They instead need to somehow convince him to resign if they want him gone. According to the suit, Janelle Grant has been left crippled both physically and mentally, including from debilitating symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder and suicidal ideation. As with many cases like this, these are allegations, these are claims. Janelle Grant has made her claims, and Vince McMahon has denied them. It's not up to us to determine who is right and who is wrong. All we can do is follow the story. But if you would like something lighter, you can check out this episode of TLC where we talk about bad wrestling music. I hope you have a nice Friday.
Wow, that was insane.
As a small business owner, time management is key. So today I'm using Adobe Express to come up with a new fall banner. There's an unbelievable amount of templates, and it's super.
Shocking new evidence that WWE is literally erasing Brock.
Y'all think Brock did it
from the company?
Y'all think Brock did it?
This evidence in just a moment. WWE already replaced Brock Lesnar with 2 different wrestlers. At the Royal Rumble, he was replaced by Braun Breaker, and now they are positioning Gunther to be the new Brock Lesnar. Will these replacements
I think Vince
work
McMahon
out?
did it.
Only
Just because he
time
said the
will
N-word.
tell.
That's the only reason I
According
think so.
to leaked information from inside WWE, Brock has been erased from all upcoming plans.
Wow.
They don't even want to hear his name because when you think about Brock Lesnar, you think about Vince McMahon and you think about the illegal human trafficking that they were involved in. And now federal agents are on the case. And obviously, this is just getting worse and worse. Another sign that WWE has moved on from Brock Lesnar is that in the WWE shop online, they have discounted 99% of all
That's wild.
merchandise.
That's
They
crazy.
basically want to make a quick buck, do deep discounts, and just have no more Brock Lesnar merchandise in the shop.
Fine. I'll cop me some Brock Lesnar drip.
So now let's get to the visual evidence that WWE wants nothing to do
Cheap
with
drip is
Brock
cheap drip,
Lesnar.
y'all.
The original cover of WWE 2K24, 40 Years of WrestleMania Edition, had Brock Lesnar on the cover. If you bought the game, Brock Lesnar right there next to The Undertaker, next to The Rock. Now, the game has not been released yet, but they are making last-minute changes to the cover, and they have erased Brock Lesnar from it. In Brock's place is now
John Cena!
Brock is no longer seen on this cover. This has to be a major embarrassment for Brock to literally be erased from the 40 Years of WrestleMania edition of 2K24. And now Brock will not only have to deal with basically being erased from WWE, he will also have to deal with the ramifications for the possibly illegal actions that him and Vince McMahon were involved in. What are your thoughts about WWE taking drastic measures to erase Brock Lesnar